It's your summer. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day Jabronis, it is TheVerd here, and if you are part of the GPC and have never heard of me, I am the coach of the Tampa Bay Frogadiers, and it's been a journey to get here, guys. I'm not gonna lie. When got to around, I think it was March, and I somehow got into Tokyo Minorities March Madness was when this all kind of began, and then I got into the NPL as an analyst, and then basically was doing the analyst work with somebody called Bob, otherwise known as Call Me 911. And Bob, you know, we got along really well, had good synergy, and then I entered the GPC World Cup tournament. I didn't do that great in it. I got knocked out, I think, in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, I was going to do a recap for that one, but I just didn't. I didn't feel like doing it. It was done really early in the morning. I wasn't a huge fan of doing it. But anyway, after that happened, I thought, oh, well, you know, go to the quarters. You know, at least I gave it a red hot crack, and then I got a message from Bob saying, so you're in. And I was like, damn, okay. So this, guys, is going to be my draft recap for, I believe it's season 4? It's season 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure it's season 4, of the GPC. So as I said, it's run by Call Me 911, has some amazing battlers in it. There's 2 divisions. I don't know if they intertwine at all, but I was in one of the divisions. Now, I want to bear in mind that there were some initial picks that I made that I am going to discuss a little bit beforehand, and then kind of explain why I changed them after the draft and whatnot. I just feel like, yeah, it'll take some justification. So basically, let's begin this story, shall we? So I didn't realize the draft was going to be starting. It was like, I reckon, 6 in the morning, and I woke up at my girlfriend's place and saw my Discord and my Twitter and everything blowing up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Because obviously I'm Australian. When it's 6 AM my time, it's like prime time for all the Americans, and they're just going apeshit thinking like, where's this, you know, new battler, where's he at? And I eventually got to my senses, and I tried using Discord on my phone, wasn't working, couldn't get into a call for some reason. So basically the backup plan was I just thought about things that I'd talked to other people about, and the 2 Pokemon that I talked about with people that I was considering getting were, it was Infernape, I think was one of them, and the other one was Hawlucha. The reason I wanted Infernape was because in this league it is worth 13 points. So basically everything is almost divided by 10 in the point system, so you have like some things that are ridiculous, some things that aren't. So Infernape was, I guess what you'd say, 130. And so it was pretty damn bargain, but Hawlucha, which is normally a tier 2 pick, was put down at just 6 points, and that was super cheap, and I was tired, I didn't have enough time to think, so I'm just like, you know what, screw it, give me Hawlucha. Obviously came to my senses, realizing, although it is worth 6 points, it isn't exactly what I needed, so I instead decided to drop it later on, but it was my first pick, and then actually came back around to me, and so from here on out, although this looks like my first pick, this is actually my second pick of the draft, so it got all the way back to me, and I was able to get my first pick as Mew. Now, Mew, who I affectionately refer to, I believe, as CM Punk, because I just love my mascot for the team being CM Punk, because CM Punk is the greatest wrestler of all time. Mew is, I don't need to explain this, do I? Do I really? How many draft recap videos have you watched? You watching right now, how many draft recaps have you watched of people that tell you all the things that Mew can do? Do I really need to tell you? Like, it has great base stats, can do basically any role for my team, can learn basically any move that I need it to. Sure, the 100 speed is a little bit in this format, but it's still incredibly versatile and exactly what I need for my team. Anyway, moving on. So after that, I was able to then go to my second pick, and this was still roaming around in the top tiers, and my initial game plan was I'm going to pick low, then go with my high picks later on, but I was like, you know what, this thing's still lurking around, and with Mew, makes a pretty nice core, and then if I can get the other thing afterwards, we're looking really good. So with my second pick, I was able to pick up Excadrill, which I affectionately call Doug. And if you get that pun, then good on you. Excadrill, again, a phenomenal Pokemon in the format. Obviously, the bulk is really nice, as well as the fact that, obviously, it is a great abuser of sand, but also having abilities like a Mold Breaker allows it to absolutely destroy with Earthquake. I'm not going to go into like too much depth with these teams, because a lot of the things that I picked are pretty self-explanatory, but a few of the others aren't. I just realized, though, in this current thing, I forgot to type in one of my Pokemon. I actually forgot to type in my Mega, so go me. That'll be fixed up in a second, but in the meantime, don't even know how many. I'll just type it in there and fix it up. It's fine. Okay, so anyway, Drill again is phenomenal. It can abuse sand and whatnot, and because it can abuse sand, and because it came back around to me and I was able to get it, I decided to pair it with T-Tar because why not? So T-Tar, I've always affectionately called mine Bessie. Just feels like it's one of those names that really befits a Tyranitar. So Bessie is amazing because not only does it set up sand for my extra drill, but it also has incredibly good synergy with Mew. It can quite easily, obviously, set up the sand, but can also use Unnerve, which is really nice for things that maybe I carry, like an Ockerberry for my T-Tar, and then I can go for the Flamethrower and basically make sure that Ockerberry is not going to be a factor, or if it's a Yachi Berry, I can go for Ice Beam, make sure the Yachi Berry isn't a factor. A lot of different elements there for my T-Tar to abuse. Doesn't always have to be set for sand, because I'm not always going to be bringing Drill, and at the same time I can use Drill without T-Tar. So it's just good though, because in team building aspects, your opponent always has to prep for sand, and that's really, really nice. You can put that pressure on your opponent, but what's even more terrifying is, let me just quickly change this. Yes, I did pick Gramble, but that is not what my, that is not what my 4th pick was. This is what my 4th pick was. It's bad enough dealing with sand. It's even worse when you have to deal with sand plus sun, and that's exactly what my Charizard Y can do. I affectionately call my Charizard Y as Talos. It's either Apollo or Talos, but I like Talos. It's the child of Apollo, I believe, in Greek mythology. But it's just a really sick name as well for it, not gonna lie. Talos is a fantastic Pokemon. Charizard Y. The base 159 special attack is ridiculous because the thing is, T-Tar lures in a lot of those physical walls to deal with stuff, but the combination of Sand and Sun is really nice because it basically allows both Mons to deal with their respective walls. Like for Zard, especially laddering wise, the best checks to Zard are things like the Laddie Twins come in very, very nicely against it, which T-Tar can obviously Pursuit Trap so fresh and easily. And even like the bulky waters can't really deal with Zard too well because of the sun being up is a factor, as well as having access to things like Solar Beam is really, really good. It is a bit limited maybe in its move pool, but the other cool thing is that it has a base 104 attack, which means a DD set is definitely not out of the question for Zard. So definitely a lot of options for this thing, and definitely really excited to use it in conjunction with Sand. I've used this combo on the ladder a lot, but I haven't actually really used this combo in a league format, so I'm very excited to see what the results can do. But I figured, okay, I've got the Sand, I've got the Sun, I might as well capitalize on both of these by grabbing Heliolisk. Now, I've used Heliolisk in the past, as you guys know, and I have normally called it Randy Orton, but I actually want to call it Rango this time, because I recently saw that movie again, and I was like, you know what, he kind of looks like a Rango. So, really cool thing about Heliolisk, if you guys didn't know, is he has 3 amazing abilities depending on weather. Dry Skin, obviously, is meaning he's going to get hurt more by fire moves, so I'm not using that one probably at all, but it's also really nice because it gets healed from the water attack, so you know, against your Jellicents and all that jazz, it's just a really nice check. Sand Veil, I don't know if I'm allowed to use that one, but if T-Tar was around, it means that I got a runny nose, I'm sorry. It's just bad. I'm allowed to use it, boost my evasions, but this is probably the big one that I want to use in the future. Solar Power. Basically what Solar Power does is it gives me a Choice Specs boost on my Heliolisk, and then I can chuck on a Life Orb, and that means that I'm getting ridiculous amounts of damage off with that base 109 special attack. Like, I'm ripping through things. The other really cool thing about Heliolisk that people forget is actually a really nice special defense stat. It's a bit of a sleeper how good its special defense is, so definitely means that it's really good against those bulky waters. Even if I have the HP ground, it's actually not going to do that much to me, and because I have the normal typing as well, it means I actually have a way of dealing with ghost types to an extent, and the speed stat is really, really nice. Being able to outspeed things like Infernape only just is really, really clutch, and I like that a lot. But moving on, I wanted to grab a dragon for this team, and I also just saw this one that was still there, and I thought, you know what, I can definitely make this work with my budget, so I decided to pick up my boy Kyurem. Now, this time around, I'm actually calling Kyurem Cooler. I normally call it Brock Lesnar, but that's Kyurem Black, because they're very different. I call this one Cooler because you know, Kyurem Black's like the big guy, like Frieza, you know, like the big boss, whereas Cooler's kind of like the subplot kind of guy. He's not as good, and so I feel like it's a very befitting name, but that doesn't mean that Kyurem is no slouch. This has been used very, very well by people I've seen in the past, and obviously I have experience using it too. One of the best sets Kyurem can use is a sub roost set. Obviously with pressure, it is fantastic being able to stall out opponents. It has access to an array of fantastic moves. You can run it Specs, you can run it Banded. It has very overall great stats. The only downside maybe is the speed is a little bit lackluster, but regardless of that, it is still a very, very good all-round mon, and it just fit my team really, really nicely. It actually pairs really nicely with Charizard plus T-Tar. the three of them, although two of them are weak to rocks, definitely is a bit like lackluster, but Drill and Mew as two fantastic forms of hazard removal definitely benefits that. But I'll be back in one sec as I get up the next slide to show you the next members of the team. Alrighty guys, so here are the final members of the Tampa Bay Frogadiers team for the GPC. Because we had a points limit, I didn't actually have to go with the 11 that I would normally do. I could actually go with 10, and I exactly went with 10. That was my idea, basically from the start, to do that and get 10 what I thought were really solid Pokemon. So next up I got Gramble. Now I have a few different names for Gramble. In one league I call it Rhino, in another league I call it Bull Dempsey. I think I'm going to go back with Bull Dempsey. I really like that name. Nobody really understands where it's from. He was a wrestler in NXT. It was pretty cool. But Gramble is, again, a fantastic Pokemon. I've used this thing very well in the past. I have a ton of experience using it. It just provides me with a really solid fairy type. Yeah, it doesn't have the wish passing capabilities that other fairies do, but the Intimidate is really, really nice, being able to deal with a lot of physical threats. It also takes a hell of a lot of pressure off of Mew to deal with dragon types, which is really, really important because my team's a little bit weak to dragons, because Drill can't really deal with them, because pretty much every dragon has some kind of ground or fighting type coverage to deal with it, so having Gramble there as well is just really good, solid for the team. Also pairs phenomenally well with things like Tyranitar as well as the Kyurem. Although both are weak to Steel, I do already have the Zard and the Excadrill to deal with that as well, and I have another Resist coming up. But next up, I decided to go with 3 budget picks, because I had enough points to do it, and initially the picks I went with weren't the same, I guess. There were 2 picks I did late here that I changed to make it all kind of better. So basically, I only had enough points really for 2 picks left, and I didn't do my points right, and so to basically fix it up, I went with this pick that I'm going to tell you now, and then I went with Quillfish, and then I took away Quillfish and Hawlucha and got my last 2 picks, just so you know. So I actually decided to go with a Pokemon that I haven't really used that much, but I'm really excited to see how it goes in draft-based format, and that is Trevenant. Now, Trevenant gets a bit of a bad rap because every man and his dog uses Gorgeist, which is understandable. Gorgeist is a very, very good Pokemon in the format, changing forms or not, but I think Trevenant is actually a sleeper Pokemon in this format. I think genuinely it has the capability of being good because it has reasonable bulk, like not as good as Gorgeist, but still very good bulk. And when you see the rest of my team, I have good bulk to support it with. So the other really good thing about it though is its offensive capability is really, really important. Like, I'm pretty sure it learns Trick Room. Yeah. So base 56 obviously opens up the door for Trick Room, and you can already see from some of these moves that a Trevenant is pretty darn stacked, and my team can actually function really nicely in Trick Room. But the other really cool thing is just the offensive capability. Obviously, the other cool thing is that because I have the ability called Harvest, if my Charizard does end up setting up the Sun, or I have like a Heat Rock Heliolisk or something, then Trevenant does get put in the position where it can automatically harvest certain berries, so it can definitely abuse that and put in a lot of work against my opponents. That base 110 attack set is really, really nice. Probably won't use the base 65 special attack, but also the bulk of 85, 76, and 82 is not bad. Like, it was obviously better bulky grass types, but I think that Trevenant being the main role for it is to be not only a ground resist but also another grass check, as well as it is my immunity, and it's a really nice spin blocker because it deals with a lot of the fighting type spinners. It deals with Donphan quite nicely because even if my item gets knocked off, it's not a big deal because I can just harvest it back later on, which obviously opens the door for another knockoff, but then again I can actually, you know, outspeed possibly in Willow, so I definitely have a lot of capabilities with Trevenant, and I'm really keen to see how it goes because I do think it is a very underrated Pokemon in the format, and it only came in as 3 points in this league, so I'm really keen to see if I can use it budget-wise. But instead of Quillfish and Hawlucha, what I decided first to get was Weezing. Sorry, Trevenant is going to be called the King. If you get that reference, then cool. And Weezing is called Weezenuts. If I can type it right, thank you. So Weezing, again, is a Pokemon I've had experience using in the past. It is a fantastic Bulkymon. The offense is still pretty solid because obviously base 85 special attack, but its main purpose is again to be another way of dealing with ground types, and as well it is another good fairy check for my team, which I definitely was appreciating because I didn't want Drill to be dealing with fairies all the time. It has an okay speed stat, has access to Willow, Toxic Spikes, a lot of really cool things, and there's not really much to explain about Weezing. It can be very one-dimensional, but I think I can definitely be creative enough with Weezing to make it seem like it's not too one-dimensional. But the last pick with just enough points left to finish off my team, and what I think is a pretty nice last pick, is Poliwrath, which I normally just call Poly, but I actually call it Poly Go Round, but that's only if I'm using the Circle Throw set, and I don't want to give that away, so I'm just going to call it Poly. So Poly is fantastic. I've used Poliwrath to ladder to top 10 in many different tiers, and the reason why it's so good is because Water Absorb is a fantastic ability, but also having access to Swift Swim is really, really nice. Being able to set up a Rain Dance and then be a threat, because obviously if my speed gets doubled, I'm outspeeding a lot of big threats in the game, so there's also that really nice quality to Poliwrath. And one thing that's really good about it as well is it not only does it have the amazing bulk of 90, 95, 90, but it also has a really solid attack stat, not the worst special attack stat, and it actually has a decent speed. All round it's really nice. It serves as another dark resist, as well as being able to be another water immunity. I have 2 water immunities on my team already, and a few resists, so that is fantastic. Being able to stock up that. It's also my main answer to a lot of fire types, which is fine. Like, it deals with fire types very, very nicely. It can put in a lot of work for my team, and I'm very excited to see what Poliwrath can actually do for me here, because, I mean, see, Poliwrath and Trevenant, I feel, are definitely 2 Pokemon that are very, very underrated in a draft phase format, and they actually pair phenomenally together. Although they are both weak to flying, I definitely have a lot of ways to deal with flying types on my team already, so I definitely am looking forward to how the entirety of this team can go. But that is going to do it for my draft recap, guys. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to give away a lot of my plans. I just wanted to kind of basically go over the main roles that each of them can fulfill, or some of the moves that they have, and more just tell you guys exactly what's on my team, so when you look forward to battles in the future, you can be like, okay, so he has this, this, and this, and you know, he could have brought that and whatnot. But my week 1 battle will be up soon. It is against my good friend Jar, who I met kind of through the GPC tournament and whatnot, and also through, I think I battled him in Token Minorities as well. But regardless, that is going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely go subscribe if you can. Check out the GPC as well, and like this video. That would be awesome. Anyway, guys, my name's TheVerd, and I'm out this bitch.